Welcome to the Refine and Shine, the podcast dedicated to mastering the art of continuous improvement and optimizing every aspect of your life. I'm Angelina Rivera, your host, and together we'll uncover the secrets to refining our lives, our habits, and our processes to unlock our inner brilliance. Join us on Refine and Shine, where we'll delve deep into achieving more in life without the burnout and without all the stress. This podcast is your platform for a more fulfilling life through continuous improvement and personal growth. In each episode, I and a diverse array of guests discuss practical strategies for up-leveling every aspect of your life. From developing good habits and organizing your space to refining your mindset and personal goals, we're going to explore it all. Our guests share personal stories about the systems they've developed or systems they've used and the tweaks they've made in their lives when refinement was needed, allowing them to truly shine. Listen to Refine and Shine to learn how you can implement continuous improvement techniques in your daily routine, develop and maintain healthy habits that lead to success and satisfaction, organize your life to reduce the stress and increase your productivity, foster a growth mindset that propels you to new heights. My mission is to inspire you to take bold action, make positive changes, and become the best version of yourself. Whether you're aiming to elevate your career, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, Refine and Shine is your guiding light. With over 25 years of experience in continuous improvement, I help businesses streamline their processes, establish efficient work areas, and implement standard work protocols. I have trained over 600 individuals and teams in process improvement, optimizing workflows, and enhancing overall operational efficiency. Tune in every week as we embark on an enlightening journey, exploring paths to refinement and illuminating the way to shine in every area of our lives. Subscribe now and join us on this journey to polish your life and let your best self shine through. Thank you for joining us on Refine and Shine. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Refine and Shine podcast. I am super excited for my guests today because I just want to know what they are all about and what they're able to share with all of you. My guest today is Derek Hales. He is the founder and editor-in-chief of NapLab.com. NapLab is a platform that tests and reviews mattresses using battery of objective and data-driven test. Derek reviews and personalized mattress recommendations helps his readers quickly find the best mattress to sleep on. So, Derek, great to meet you. And just how did you get into this?
Oh, it's great to meet you as well. Thank you for having me on the show. So, we got into it very much by accident. It really just began when my wife and I got married. We got married in 2014. At the time, for the first few months of our marriage, we were sleeping on my full-size innerspring mattress from high school that I had just sort of carried on with me from college. And pretty quickly, we were in the market. We wanted to get something, bigger, bed that we could both fit on. So we did the whole kind of in-store thing. Went in store, tried beds. We found beds we liked. But they were $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. We were a newly married couple, didn't have a whole lot of money to spend, and pretty frugal people at that. So just couldn't pull the trigger. So we ended up taking a chance on one of these online beds that were kind of just getting going in 2014. It was a foam bed. It was $600 for a queen. We bought it, or for a king, excuse me. We bought it, we tried it. It was okay, but not a great fit. So we returned it and had a great return policy. So that was really easy. We tried another online bed, had a much better experience with that one. We ended up keeping that. And then just kind of as like a fun weekend hobby project, I was like, I'm gonna build a website this weekend. I'm gonna review these two beds. I'll compare them. I'll put some of my notes about what happened in the in-store experience and what that was like, and just threw it up just to see if people would be interested. Not really thinking it would do anything crazy, but it really struck a chord. People really liked what we were doing. They liked the reviews. They liked the comparison. So we kept testing. We kept reviewing. People kept asking us to move more, and we tried to deliver on that. Pretty quickly, it was making a decent amount of money to the point where I was starting to think I could leave my full-time job, which I was really kind of dissatisfied with at the time and ready to make a move. And so within about 6 months of launching the website, I was able to make the leap into my full-time career as a mattress tester.
I love that. And I think that that's so important. Like sleep is everything, and people they forgot what the word I was trying to say, but they don't realize how important your sleep is. If you do not get adequate sleep, it just disrupts your body. It really affects your health. And so I love that you have found something that, from your own testing and figuring things out. I mean, even the mattresses today, like you can buy it online or you can there's so many things out there now. There's like the heat thing or, all of the things. And so you go and like test out these products, and how do you do it, and how do you, figure out what's the best way? Like, how do you measure what is a good mattress?
So for us, our whole sort of platform really lives and dies by our objective and data driven tests. So we have a battery of 10 tests that we run on every mattress to understand how it performs in objective, data driven, quantifiable language. So we're testing cooling with a thermal camera. We're testing motion transfer using accelerometers. We're testing edge support by taking really high resolution photographs and then bringing those into Photoshop and then measuring down to the pixel level how much is that edge actually sinking when you're sitting, how much is that mattress sinking down when I place a medicine ball, how much of that medicine ball is hidden. And so it lets us get really precise data that we can then use to inform our reviews and understand what's going on these mattresses. And we take all of this data to determine ultimately our scores. And then we're able to then compare that to everything else we've tested, which lets us create some really interesting insights where we can say something like, okay, this mattress is in the top 10% among everything we tested for cooling, but it's in the bottom 30% for motion transfer. It has higher motion transfer, but maybe better cooling. And so that lets it's much easier time than to align your priorities as a sleeper with the mattresses that are most likely to meet your needs. And that's what we're all about at NapLab, just trying to connect our readers with the mattress that's best for them.
I think that's so interesting. And how did you come up with these ways to test it? Like, what were you like an engineer or some type of data-driven person in your prior career before you went full on into entrepreneurship?
Not an engineer, maybe an aspiring engineer in high school and college, though I'm not sure I could really handle the upper level maths. But no, really just somebody who has a head for numbers. I like to see data. I want to see evidence for the claims that brands make about their products, or if I'm doing a deep dive and trying to buy a new TV, I want to know everything about it. I want to see the numbers, the tests, quantifiable information. I want to see how that compares to everything. And so, really, the whole thing kind of just began out of a desire to find the reviews that I was looking for when I was initially in the market in 2014, trying to find a mattress. And so, I've really tried to just build the review that I wanted. And it turns out there's a good number of people that also kind of have a similar head and want the type of numbers and data and quantifiable information about the mattresses. So that's sort of where we began with that.
I think that's so interesting. I'm also one of those people, like, data speaks to me, and it's like I want to know the statistics. I want to know, like, I read the reviews. Recently, we had to buy a new refrigerator, and I'm like going through, like, I want to know what's the longevity, the repair. Does something burn out quickly, like the ice maker, or all of these things. And it's like I don't just want to look at the capacity. I also want to see, am I going to be able to put this? Like, you can have space, but is it usable
Yeah.
space, right? So that you can put your bottles of like Worcestershire sauce correctly in the refrigerator instead of laying it down because there's no room. Those are the types of things I think are important.
Oh, exactly. And those are, they don't always come through on like a particular, brand's product page because they have a certain, way they want to communicate about the product. And some of those things are helpful, but a lot of them end up being more, sort of marketing puffery. And those really aren't always helpful to consumers. You want someone who's tested that refrigerator and has put, all these different bottle types and package types into the fridge. Say, okay, how many turkeys can fit in there? How many, tall bottles of wine can fit in the door? Those sort of small things really, make the sort of user experience and usability of that product, good or bad or somewhere in the middle based on what you're specifically looking for.
Mm. So when you test mattresses, how are you able to test these mattresses? Like, do you just go into different stores and like, even especially when you're also comparing what you find online, like how are you doing this whole concept?
So our testing really all happens right here in my studio. So I'm in sort of our testing studio. Just to my right over here, we have our bed set up. We have all of our tools, our equipment. our videography, our lighting, our software, everything sort of lives and dies here. So mattresses come in, we unbox those, we unpack those, get them onto our sort of standard bed frame, and then we run the exact same 10 tests on that mattress. So we're looking for cooling and motion transfer and edge support and sex performance and bounce and sinkage and all the things that are important, all the things that determine how a particular mattress feels, how it performs, and then how it compares to everything. We take all of that data that goes into our basically a giant Google sheet that crunches the numbers and tells us, exactly how that compares to everything else, and then it gives us a score that's sort of formulaically driven. We have basically linear functions that my math genius wife has helped us develop over the years. Functions and formulas that tell us exactly, okay, when a mattress has 5.63 meters per second of acceleration on the accelerometer, we know that that translates into a score of 9.8 or whatever it happens to be. And we have scores and formulas and functions like that for everything that we test for. And so it really lets us get into just numerical information. And I find once we get down to just a number for cooling, for motion, for edge support, for sex, for all these things that are important on a mattress, that we are then able to just discuss those numbers in a really, I think, simple, easy to understand, and more objective manner. It's not just whether or not I feel like it's cool or I feel like it's slow motion. We have the data, we have the numbers that have informed those decisions and those viewpoints, and then we can talk about them in a way that I think, again, is just easier and better and helps our readers make more informed decisions when they are ready to make a mattress purchase.
What I think is also pretty neat is when I go to your website, you also have like a quiz that's personalized for a personalized recommendation based on specific needs, preferences, and budget. I think that's pretty cool. And has that been something that you guys did right away, or just as you got feedback, you were like, "Hey, should develop this quiz"?
Yeah, so we've always have provided one-on-one support for anybody that wanted to email us and ask questions. In our earlier days, it was more informal, just kind of a contact form. If somebody wanted to reach out, they could. Over time, we developed basically systems and services and quizzes that made it easier. And so our quiz today is really sort of the peak version of that process. And the whole idea is just that our readers, our viewers can email us basically their specific needs and preferences, their budget, the types they're looking for, their needs, their partner's needs. That goes straight to myself or a member of my team. We look at the complete picture of what that person needs and wants, and then we do our best to match that to a single sort of best mattress for them.
What I think that's really awesome, and I love that as I'm reading through your website is that you do not allow brands to pay you to review to increase their score or anything like that. You were like, nope, I'm going strictly on the data that because data speaks volumes, right? I think that's amazing.
Exactly. I think sponsored content, advertorial content, really has no place in the world of product reviews. If you're going to do a product review, you need to be independent. You need to be able to speak honestly and truthfully and forcefully about that product based on what the data says and what our experience with the mattress. So we've made a point to avoid any sort of, again, sponsored content, pay to play, pay for placement, pay for rankings, any of that stuff. I find really distasteful and just not helpful when you're trying to honestly review a product.
What I wanted to know is like once you went through like you went from within 6 months after starting this, what was really just a hobby, and you're like, hey, I just want to like put this all together based on my testing and all of these things. Um, has it been any like highs and lows of like because you're just you got a team now, but like has there ever been something where you're like, I need to go back to corporate America, and I would love to hear any of those thoughts.
Yeah, fortunately, it never got that low. We had highs and lows. Absolutely, there were peaks and valleys, and I'm sure there will be in the future as well. But we've stayed way above the sort of valley that would have to happen to send me back into corporate world. After doing 4 years sort of at a marketing agency right out of school, I learned a lot and worked with a lot of amazing people, and it was a great experience. But it also taught me very quickly that sort of corporate world was not my future. The sort of the structures, the boundaries, the limits of sort of working in a corporate office, working with sort of big teams, working with big enterprise clients, I found very restricting. And it certainly wasn't a good fit for me. So I think being able to kind of run my own show, my own small team, is a much better fit. And I think we're able to just create something that has a much bigger sort of positive impact on the world as well. So um, again, working with enterprise clients, I think can be really constricting and quite frankly kind of soul crushing. One of my first clients I had to work with at an agency was doing digital strategy for a major financial institution in the United States, and I was specifically assigned to their foreclosure division, and it was just I'm just looking at foreclosed properties all day long, thinking of the best ways that we can like market and sell these, and it was just soul crushing. So I was happy to move on, and we've fortunately been able to keep the momentum going. That I don't think I'm going to have to go back to corporate America anytime soon.
Well, one of the things I think is amazing is that you've been doing this for, almost a little over 10 years now. And I think that that is, most people in their entrepreneur journey don't even make it past the first year, let alone 5 years. And here you are, you've already doubled that timeline. So I think that that's amazing. And now you have a team. So how long did it take you in going through your, getting this stood up? You left after 6 months, you left your full-time job. And when did you start to hire a team or realize you needed a team and even space to get through this, testing facility?
So about I think it was I guess 9 or 10 months after I initially left, I was able to hire our first employees. We were doing well enough to bring on one, and then we hired another employee about 18 months later. And then we were a three-person team for a long time. Only within the last 5 years have we expanded, and again, kind of same thing, sort of going back to 2021. We brought one more person on, then added a year, another person on, added a year, added another person on. So we now have a six-person team here in the U.S., and then we have two team members that work with us in the Philippines.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. And does your wife do this with you full time now as well?
She does this, yes. So she is our Excel, Google Sheets, math guru. So when it comes to anything numbers related, she is the master behind all that.
That's pretty awesome. One of the things I was wondering about is, do you also look at the longevity of a mattress? I mean, most people, I believe that they should be replacing their mattresses every 6 years, or is it 10 years? I'm not sure.
I think 8 to 10 years is sort of what we hope for in most quality mattresses. Now, your mileage can vary, and some models and types and brands are going to be better or worse, but in general, around 10 years is sort of what we hope for out of a quality bed.
Okay. And then do you guys use that as with all your statistics and data that you put together, can you project that this would be an 8-year mattress where you'd have to replace or a 10-year mattress, and then also look at like the cost of investment for it?
Yeah, so in the last many years, we've sort of had to use a combination of sort of inferred statistics about the mattress to sort of determine durability. And we look
Mhm.
at basically the thickness, the quality of the materials, density of the foams, gauge of the coils, and then also like feedback that we're sort of pulling from consumers, people that have actually used the mattress, and we could kind of combine all that in addition to sort of my experience and just assessing the mattress to say things like, okay, well, based on all this information, we think that this is a low quality product or an average quality product or a high quality, and it should last longer or shorter based on that. Within the last couple of months, we have been able to bring on a new piece of testing equipment. It is the same sort of industrial testing equipment that mattress manufacturers use as part of like a standard testing protocol for durability. And it's essentially a giant 240-pound rolling pin that rolls across the mattress 100,000 times 24/7 over a 5-day period approximately. And that process then lets us measure how that mattress is losing height over time and also losing firmness over time. And so those are the two big, I think, objective durability criteria that really, shine the light of day in a really hard way to say, okay, this mattress, doesn't hold up because it's losing a lot of height or it's super soft after, 10 years of accelerated use on the Rollator durability testing machine. So we are kind of in the final stages now, sort of bringing that online. We have a sort of another couple of months of sort of gathering our initial testing data set, and then we're going to be able to sit down with that data, look at the mattresses that we've tested, look at their performance, and then set essentially some barometers, kind of a scale on what we consider to be good durability, okay durability, and bad durability. So I'm really excited to bring that sort of objective level of durability testing at NapLab very soon.
I think that's really amazing. And I just love that you put all of this like thought into, like, I'm just not just testing it. Like, I'm not just like laying on it. Like, I'm actually doing all of these durability, the pitches that you're taking, the all of the things. Like when you look at your website, there's like so many amazing like things that you guys have on there to show you're not just like doing a let me just jump on it, so to speak, or lay down on it and see how it, helps my back and things like that as well. I think that's pretty cool. And I just want to know, how did you come up with all these tests? Like, did you do a lot of research? How did you put everything together the way that you did?
Part of it was just, trial and error. We've been at this a long time, having started in 2014. So, kind of, every 6 months, every year, I would have, a new idea for a test, and we'd sort of, work through the kinks in that, and then be able to then, add that as part of our standard sort of testing protocol. In 2021, I had basically was ready to like reset kind of everything. And so we rebuilt kind of our entire testing protocol from the ground up. So part of that process was just, leaning on my years of experience. Part of that is I, reached out and consulted with numerous sort of people within sort of the mattress industry to understand, the ways in which mattress companies, try to test their mattresses and understand kind of what's good, bad, and in between. And then we also consulted with a good friend of mine who's an aerospace engineer. He was able to walk us through kind of the more like technical sort of execution of these tests. Now I would tell him, I want to gather, cooling data. And what's the best sort of way that we can go about that? Or I want to grab, to get a motion transfer test. Like what sort of tools and equipment is the best to sort of to get that? And so, sort of this combination of experience, and then talking to consultants and professionals and experts in the world of mattresses, and then talking to experts outside of the world of mattresses that really just have sort of the technical knowledge of basically data collection, and we kind of were able to combine all of that into something that I think is made a big impact.
I think that's pretty cool. I would love to see or to ask you, how important do you think sleep is to people on an everyday basis? What's
I
your
mean,
thoughts?
I'd say it's critical. It's probably more important than anything else in your life with respect to your health. I mean, when you are sleeping well, your body can recover. It can heal itself. And when you're not, your body is going to fall apart. And it's not just physically. It's emotionally. It's mentally. There are so many things that are connected to our sleep. I forget the specific journal that released a study, but it was just this last December. Some major university in Oregon, where they had looked at all of these different factors that impact longevity, including exercise and diet and smoking and social isolation and sleep and a bunch of other stuff. With the exception of smoking, which was the most important. If you could quit smoking, that would have the greatest increase on your longevity. Sleep was number two. And so ahead of diet, ahead of exercise, ahead of genetics, ahead of social isolation, all these other factors. So sleep is critical. And it's it's not just sort of a happenstance belief. I'm not a, let's say, a master in everything world sleep, but being someone that tests mattresses, I encounter a lot of research around sleep, and it's just study after study after study. It just shows us the exact same thing. When you sleep better, when you sleep longer, you're healthier. And I think it's just as simple as that.
Yeah. I think that is really important. And I have noticed, so in 2024, I traveled a lot. I traveled, I think, I don't remember, it was like 32 flights, so I was out in and out, and I had to stay at a lot of hotels. And I will tell you that the sleep was the hardest thing for me to do, was to get comfortable in a mattress. And it was to the point where like I'm trying to put pillows underneath my back, because when you're flying for 7 hours and then you drive to the destination and then you have to sleep, it was hard. And
Yeah.
my health deteriorated so bad because I couldn't get adequate sleep, because the mattress was painful, or just from being not comfortable or in an unknown area, all of these different factors. And I truly felt like I aged because I could not sleep. Like I aged pretty bad during that time frame.
Yeah, I believe it. It's one of those things that I think when you're getting good sleep, you kind of take it for granted. It's just like, oh, of course, this is how I normally feel. But as soon as you sort of you've lost that, whether you're traveling, or maybe you have young kids, or you're not feeling well, or you have a chronic health or pain condition, it can become really clear just how critical it is when you're lacking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it actually, I have chronic back pain, and it just 10 times it when I couldn't get the right sleep, to the part where I couldn't even walk at days because it was so bad.
Jeez.
So I understand how important sleep is. And even like I believe in taking naps. Some people think, oh, no, you shouldn't take naps. And like even that 15 to 20-minute nap can do so much wonders for your body.
Yeah, and that really is sort of the perfect sort of length. Science has done a good amount of research in the world of naps, and the general consensus seems to be that most adults don't need a nap to function. But if you are going to take a nap, keep it shorter, something between 10 and 30 minutes. Staying inside of 30 minutes makes sure that your body doesn't drop into like that REM cycle. If you get into or partway into a REM cycle and try and wake up, you can wake up groggy and sort of almost like more tired, and it can also affect your sleep at night. So the short nap is really the perfect length.
Mm, I love that. So, with everything that you do with just testing the mattresses, is there like, for our sleep environment, in order to like help us improve our sleep environment, one is to have a quality mattress. Is there any other things that you suggest that we need to help us with our sleep environment?
I think the two other big things, and again, these are not just my opinions, but things that we're seeing from the numerous studies, quiet and no light. So basically, get the room as quiet as you possibly can and get the room as dark as you possibly can. When you have, even small amounts of noise during the night can sort of, slightly wake your brain up a little bit and, interrupt your REM sleep. So doing whatever you can to eliminate noise in your room is super helpful. And if you can't totally eliminate, using earplugs is an easy thing to do. Or white noise machines also can be helpful to that end as well. And a similar thing on the light side. We want our rooms to be as dark as possible. So curtains, shades, little slides underneath the door so you don't have the light coming in from the hallway. Making sure you can do anything again to just make it as dark as possible, and it's the exact same thing as the noise. When it's darker, you're able to stay asleep. You're not constantly sort of catching bits of light in the eye that slightly wakes you up, even if you don't feel like you've totally waken up. The research has showed us very clearly that when rooms are darker, we are deeper asleep, and when we are deeper asleep, we are getting more restorative sleep, and sleep is just creating better healing for the body.
I think that's really important. And if you cannot get the room dark enough, you can always get those little sleep masks that are really
Yep.
um, good to use as well. I've seen even where there's videos of I just looking at your shirt because you have dogs on your shirt, and I just remind me. I saw a reel where a boxer couldn't sleep, and so they put the little mask on the boxer to help the boxer sleep. And I
I
was
love
like,
that.
so I use them, and every time like I have a boxer dog myself, and when he gets restless, I put like a little thing over. Or you see dogs they'll put a pillow over or bury themselves in a pillow just because
Yeah.
they want to get that sleep. And so we can learn from others and we can learn from our animals how important sleep is.
Hey, if it's good enough for the puppies, it's good enough for me.
Yeah. So I think I love what you're sharing is, we want to make sure that we have a quality mattress. We want to make sure that we are not having any type of noise. And if we do have some type of noise that we can't prevent, like just putting those earpieces in, earplugs, as well as that no light. And I think that those are important. And so with all the things that you've studied, how many mattresses have you studied so far or tested in your span?
I believe we're up to around 520, 530 or so. So a pretty good number.
I think that's pretty cool. And I wanted to know, so do you still have that same mattress that you bought in 2014, or have you since replaced it?
We replaced that one. So the bed I bought in 2014 that we were sleeping on initially for personal use, well, we weren't sleeping on for very long. If for the only reason that basically by that December I was getting a new mattress every single week, and so we were testing a new mattress that we would sleep on each and every week. And so I did that sort of every week until 2017. Until 2017, I got a mattress that we kept, and by 2021 we were able to basically move into sort of objective data driven testing. And so it's just sort of a different way to test. So basically the first 120 mattresses I tested we slept on for at least a week, and since then we've moved to sort of our data driven process.
What do you do with these mattresses after you're done testing them?
The ones that are super popular, we have kept sort of stored in our sort of garage warehouse. But we're basically going to run those through the durability machine, and then we'll give those away. All of the others we've given away to charity.
I think that's important. I think that it's so awesome that you're giving them away. You're not just like discarding them, you're giving them to people that can use them.
Oh my goodness, yes. That would be morally reprehensible to just discard this quantity of mattresses. So we always try and find a good home for them. And we work with an amazing charity here in Arizona that connects them and gets them to families that are really in need.
Mm. That's really awesome. And so, as we wrap up, I would love to just, if you can share, like, how can people get in contact with you? And I will make sure I have my, your links in the show notes as well. But what would be the best way if they were interested in what you have to share, your research and all the things?
Yeah, the best way to get in touch is just visit us at naplab.com. It's naplab.com. There we have our reviews, comparisons, best of guides, education, and a whole lot more. Also have a contact form there if you want to send a question or just say hi. And then if you're in the market for a new mattress, as we talked about earlier, we have our mattress quiz. Answer a few questions about needs, preferences, and budget. That goes straight to me or a member of my team, and we'll send you back a personalized recommendation within 24 hours.
And do you charge for your services?
No, nope, always free.
That's awesome. So, how do you make money off of your business?
So we use basically referral links. So every mattress brand essentially has a referral program. So when you send them customers that make a purchase, we earn a commission on that. And so I think this has allowed us to monetize our work and build a business, but also not be stuck or in bed with a particular mattress company. Since every company has one, we can basically build links to any brand and any mattress that we think is going to be best for our readers.
I think that that is such an awesome business model. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very kind.
And that also shows that you're testing these, though. You're testing them because you really care about the product, or, about giving people the right sleep environment, that you're really looking at that and not just like, okay. And like I said earlier in the thing on your website, you clearly don't get paid by mattresses to give you a better review or anything like that. So I think that speaks to your integrity. So thank you.
That's very kind. Thank you. Yeah, and in my view, it's critical to everything we do. I think sort of transparency and honesty in the world of reviews is something that many professional product reviewers have kind of lost over the years. And so that's something that when I'm looking for reviews, I'm going out of my way to find the websites and the platforms that are kind of doing it the right way. And we try and do our best again to do everything the right way so that we can objectively test and then honestly discuss our findings and then monetize it in a way that doesn't make us again beholden to any particular brand or company.
I just have to ask you one more thing. How did you guys come up with the name for your company?
So I knew I wanted it to be two words. I wanted it to be a thing that described sleep or mattresses, and I knew I wanted it to be a location, some sort of noun location. And so we basically came up with hundreds of different sleep words and hundreds of different location words, concatenated them in a massive Google sheet that gave us, thousands of different options, and then basically checked all of those options to see what was available. Whether it was something we could just get, for $12 from a domain registrar, or one that we had to pay for from someone that was already sitting on the domain. And so we did that and had a couple dozen good options, and then NapLab was just a perfect. It described sleep. It described what we were doing, objective testing. It was short. It was memorable. It was unique, and it was available. So it was a perfect fit for us.
I also like the whole, like, the dog in your shirt. Like, I just love it. It's like, I'm like, how do I get a shirt like that?
Yes, yes. Hey, if you want, send me your address. I'll send you one. We don't sell swag, but I can order some. So this is
Yeah.
my puppy, my Tibber. She's my little mini poodle.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. As we wrap up, though, I would I always ask my guests this, is what is a word, a phrase, a book, or some type of action, anything that they can do today in order to help them refine and shine?
So here's a book I recently read. It's called The Gap and the Gain. And in a nutshell, it's about sort of understanding the difference between your sort of the ideal thing that you wanted to happen and where you're at, and knowing that you can't always achieve the ideal thing, but there's always something you gain from every experience, even painful ones. So it's a really good book. It's a really good read, a really good, I think, reminder. And I think in most simple form, it's, have a positive outlook, but the book does a much better job of getting into that and talks about some, I think, really interesting scenarios where there'll be plenty of reasons to not have a positive outlook, really horrible things that have happened to people, loss of children and spouses and really hard things, that they still have looked for the positive, and instead of thinking about the gap between what they wanted to happen, they looked at the gain of what did happen. And so it's been a really good, perspective reminder for me. And so anybody looking for a book, I think it's great. It's available on Spotify for free if you have Spotify Premium as well. Otherwise, the soft copies, I think maybe $10, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, I was looking because I just finished reading that not that long ago. So I thought it was right here still. But no, that's a really good book, and I love how you explained it. It's really good. It's like, and I think that what it helps you look at is that like everything that happens to us, it's for we can't just be negative about it, and it takes us out of bad things always happen to me. Like, what is the lessons that I need to learn, and how can I realize like how far I've gotten? One of the things I love to do, like part of my I call it my shine principles, and my it's the E stands for every day celebrate your wins, because everybody's looks like, okay, I want to run this a marathon, and I want to just look from the finish line to the end, but look about how every mile you get to and all the training that you put into, and we're just so quick on like a number figure that we want to make, or we want to have all these big things to define success, but every day that we wake up and we take some sort of action, that is a win. And so that's a gain. And so I think that that's so important. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Hey, my pleasure.
Well, thank you for being a great guest today.
Hey, well, thank you for having me on the show. This was so fun.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refine and Shine. We hope you find valuable insights and inspiration to fill your journey of continuous improvement. Remember, the key to success lies in refining your processes and letting your inner brilliance shine. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and helps us reach more listeners like you who are eager to refine and shine in all areas of life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and additional resources and behind-the-scenes content. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to reach out with any suggestions, questions, or success stories you'd like to share. As we wrap up, remember that the power to transform your life lies within you. Keep striving for growth, embracing change, and seeking opportunities to refine your skills. Together, let's continue to shine bright and make a positive impact in the world. Until next time, keep refining and keep shining.